doing my pre-trip, and I'm gonna have to sheepishly admit that I did not actually do a post-trip last night, because if I had, I would have caught what I'm about to show you. Yeah, oops. So, I don't know when that happened, sometime during the day yesterday, but thankfully I'm at a Love's and I'm sitting right by the service department, so I'm gonna go talk to somebody and see if they can get it in now. I think they might have just opened for the morning, so there's that. So we're already in the shop. I was actually parked right behind the shop. I kind of like to park near the shop, and this is a good reason to remember that in the future. I asked the mechanic what could have caused that, because of course my first thought whenever there's something wrong is, what did I not catch, or what should I have noticed, or whatever. Because I was like, well, I drove with it some distance. I drove from the place where I was before this, I drove like 30 minutes or something, but like everything felt fine. I didn't see any alerts or anything like that. I walk around my truck, but I don't always like inspect it every time I walk around it, but maybe this is a good reason to be a little more diligent about that. And also, I did not do a post trip, and I should have, because if I had done the post trip, I would have caught it right away. And what was so convenient is because I'm parked right by the maintenance bay, I was able to just disconnect from my trailer, come right in here. He's going to have this fixed probably in less than an hour. And this is another thing where I will say it's great to work for a company like GP, because they are on top of maintenance. So like, they don't wait, they don't take a long time to approve stuff. It's like, as soon as you call them, they give you this number back, the reference number that you need. You tell the shop, you get in there right away and you get out. Do you need a reference number?
No, you're good. I'm just getting this back to you.
Okay.
I'm actually going to put you in for a new tire because your cat's starting to peel.
Okay.
So,
thank
you're
you.
all set. Yep.
Thank you so much. I don't know if you heard that. Maintenance guy here is awesome. So he said the cap is starting to peel, so it's a recap. That could be the reason. And I actually, just a few days ago, this is not at all like a negative commentary on our maintenance at the terminal, because they're awesome. They're great. I did just have my tires all checked there. I always check my tires, like I do check my tire pressures usually like once a week, and I do the thump test every day. If I'm at the terminal and it doesn't look like it's chaotic, or you know, it's not busy, which it wasn't, I'll ask them to double check my tires sometimes, because I have a really hard time. I have a tire gauge that another mechanic bent for me, which is really helpful to reach those inside tire valve stems to try to check the pressure. Sorry, I haven't had any coffee yet. I am not awake. I have a hard time checking the pressure on those tires, and I never feel confident that I got the right number. And then also, it was really cold, and all of my numbers were low, but they were consistent. So I knew it was probably just that the truck had been sitting. It was cold outside. Once I got moving again, the pressures would go up some. But yeah, it's, if I can have someone who really knows what they're doing double check my work, why wouldn't I? You know, it makes me feel more confident going out on the road knowing all my tires are good to go. So the mechanic didn't miss anything. It's just, this is one of those things that happens. But imagine if I had not done a pre-trip and I had just driven with this tire hanging off the rim, like that would have been like a blowout. That would have cost more time, more money, would have required me to probably sit on the road and wait for someone to come from a Love's, which can take hours. So this is, I don't know why anyone would need convincing to do a pre-trip, but I don't see very many drivers doing them at truck stops, which makes me wonder how many drivers just don't do them. I can't imagine. I've had too many little things that I've found that could have turned into something a lot worse if I didn't do it. So do your damn pre-trips, people. Good morning. So I'm having a little trouble. I'm trying to slide my tandems, and I'm on an icy surface, and I'm having a little bit of trouble. Sorry about the beeping. I'm having a little bit of trouble because what can happen is you're, and I'm probably not the best person to explain this, but basically, you know, you're trying to pull the, oh goody, it's working now, I figured out, so I'll explain in a second, but it can be difficult for the tractor, if the tractor tires are on ice, to pull the weight of the trailer forward on that back axle. I think that's probably a decent way to explain it. So what I ended up doing was moving my whole truck to a spot where the tractor tires were on a less icy surface. There's other tricks too that help. Okay, this would be Gucci. And then this is one of those docks that you kind of sink down into, so it pulls you down a little bit, so you don't have to give it fuel. You can just let gravity help you. Hopefully still not slam that thing. Get in there. Still gonna do R2. I'm like right on it. I keep popping forward for some reason. Oh, I know why. Probably. It was running into the, maybe it was running into part of the dock plate and kind of bouncing on. I don't know. I'm speculating. But anyway, we got there. Hey guys, little end of day video for you. I'm tired, so I don't feel like standing in front of the microwave. So I'm going to try to tell you guys this story as concisely as possible. Oh crap, I just realized I was going to start my microwave meal while I tell the story to use it as kind of a timer, so hang on. I have to admit, I eat my fair share of frozen meals, and I try to eat like healthier ones, but I don't know. Eating frozen meals is a weird thing. Did you guys know that Gordon Ramsay came out with a line of frozen food, frozen dinners, and I love him. I think he's one of the best chefs, and they're actually very good, so highly recommend. They sell them at Walmart. You're welcome. If you're also a truck driver who's looking for something decent to eat in the truck and you don't want to cook. I don't like the fabrics in the truck being embedded with the smells of food cooking. So like I know some people do slow cookers and air fryers and stuff, but like I would have to do things outside the truck if I was going to cook. I don't want the food smells embedded in the truck. That's just me. I'm a little neurotic. Okay, I don't know where to start. In order to tell you the story of my day, I have to give you backstory about something that seems unrelated, but take a trip with me. Ready? Okay, so in a previous long time ago video, I told you guys about the saga of like my student loan debt, right? So I'm going to just try to rehash as quickly as I can. I got into trucking with the plan of living in the truck full-time, not paying rent, and using that to pay down my debt and paying off my student loans at the same time. I got into trucking on the tail end of that boom where freight was awesome, freight rates were really high, and I've been struggling ever since. I did manage to pay down almost all of my credit card debt, which was a really amazing feeling, and that was great. But I haven't touched my student loans, and they are so overwhelming that I got to a place of just, I don't think it's realistic to try to pay them off because I'm in my mid-40s and I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to pay for my senior years. I don't anticipate that I will be able to ever stop working because there isn't going to be Social Security for me by the time I'm at that age. So I have to figure out how I'm going to survive. And, part of my thought process is having older relatives and also like having volunteered in a retirement home. I have a deeper, more personal understanding of what happens to you if you're an older person and you don't have a lot of money. So I just got to a certain point where I realized it doesn't make sense for me to like try to pay down my student loans. I just have to pay the minimums. I had been trying to get student loan forgiveness, even some of my debt forgiven. I totally recognize that this is a subject that might be like kind of inflammatory to some of my viewers and they might not agree with the idea of student loan debt forgiveness. So if that's you, let's agree to disagree. I have compassion for where you're coming from and why that would be frustrating for you to think about. So I don't want to have like a debate about that. That's not why I bring it up. I'm just telling you my story, okay? So long story short, I'm trying to get student loan debt forgiveness. Back in October, I was advised by someone at the Federal Student Aid Department to consolidate my loans. I have loans going back to when I started college in 1996, and I have loans from 2010. And if you consolidate them, that makes them a total of 27 years old because they go with the older debt, and that makes them potentially eligible for forgiveness. So I was like, okay. The thing that's scary about that is every person that you talk to in the Federal Student Aid Department gives you a completely different answer. They'll tell you this was wrong, this. It's very confusing. It's very frustrating and confusing. And you can tell when they're talking to you that they don't know. They're not sure of what they're saying either. And they're kind of open about it. It's very weird. And it has to do with the fact that all of this still is kind of in process. So I consolidated my debt. I did that in October. I got a letter like yesterday, day before, saying, congratulations, your student loans have been paid in full. It specifically said student loans in this group, and this group. And they're under a company called Nelnet. And that's another thing. If you have student loans, they keep getting sold from one company to another. It's very messed up. So I saw that, and for a second, I started to choke up a little bit and get like excited, thinking, oh my God, like maybe I'm free of this like prison of debt that I have. Then I said, no, slow down. Because when I had consolidated my debt before, I went on the website of like the federal student aid website, and it showed my debt as having doubled from consolidating it. And I was like, something is confused here. It's this whole thing where there's all these different student loan servicers, and when you combine things together to do a consolidation, they like pay off the one servicer and move it over to the other, and all this stuff is still kind of happening, so you don't really know like the definitive debt is and like what the answers are. Well, it was crazy because it turned out that it's showing that I now owe $30,000 more than I thought I did, and then another number is showing that I owe like almost $60,000 more than I originally did. So I was like, well, if something happened and they screwed up in a computer and someone screwed up numbers and now I owe like a medical degree's worth of debt, then I'm really not gonna pay that shit. Like, why would I? I could never, right? Okay, so all that happens, right? So I decide today to put myself through the mind fuck of calling the student loan servicer and trying to find out, hey, I got this letter saying my debt was paid off, but it's still showing the full amount is due. So what does that mean? I waited on hold for 90 minutes, okay? I'm driving during most of this time, and I decide to make a stop at a Walmart in Ohio because I didn't get a chance to do it over the weekend, and I'm running out of groceries and stuff, and I needed to take my 30. So I'm like, okay, this is kind of perfect. It's right off the highway. I'll go there. Oh my goodness. So, okay, microwave's almost done. I didn't succeed in my goal of using the microwave to slow my story. Hang on. Okay, I've had a headache for the last couple of days, so looking up at the phone is making my head feel worse, so I'm just going to hold it out in front of me here. So, I go to Walmart. I'm doing my grocery shopping. I'm on hold. I'm listening to the hold music. I've heard the same 4 songs repeatedly. At least their hold music wasn't as bad as some I've heard. I didn't choose the best Walmart to go to. It was one of those Walmarts that is not as truck friendly as some. So I was like, okay, it's gonna be tricky to get out of here, but you know, I'll always figure it out, whatever. So I did my shopping. I put all my stuff in the truck. I'm taking my cart back to the cart corral, and the lady comes on the phone after 90 minutes. And I'm like, oh my God, if you lose me, can you call me back at this number because I'm worried I'm going to lose your call. She was like, sure. So I explained the situation to her. She's like, let me put you on a brief hold and I'm going to look into this. She comes back a few minutes later. Let me put you on another brief hold. I'm going to look into this. And meanwhile, I'm still looking. I'm still trying to figure it out. Meanwhile, I've gotten back into my truck. I've kind of gotten stuff settled. I'm like, I need to get back on the road. It's been 45 minutes, which isn't terrible, but I need to go, you know. So I go to get back on the road. And she tells me, your loans were paid in full, but then you still owe this amount, which is the same amount I owed originally. So nothing has changed. She's like, we paid off the loans from this group, and this group, and this is the amount you owe now. And I was like, so nothing was actually paid off. And I told her, I said, man, I had a feeling this was like a glitch kind of situation, and it's really painful to receive a letter saying that your debt is paid in full, and then to find out that like it was just a glitch and that's not accurate. It's like the ultimate bait and switch, and it just hurts. It really hurts because there's this little part of you that feels like you're in this jail, and like you want to get out, but you just don't. You kind of stop believing that it's possible. You just kind of give up because you're like, I've been paying into these loans for so many years, and I owe more now than when I graduated because the interest is what makes it really difficult. And you know, I've never had jobs that I made enough money to pay it down and all this other stuff. I know that's a lot. Sorry for all the extraneous detail, but you know, people who get into student loan debt, it has a lot to do with like them thinking that they don't have another choice. And that was the situation with me. And I had zero help from any adults. I was figuring it out by myself, and it was real confusing. I shouldn't say I had zero help. I had help from the people at the school that were like, this is what you got to do. It's predatory. It really is. And it's predatory in that it only affects people who can't afford to go to college, or whose parents can't contribute, and who have the feeling that they have to go to college. And then the debt becomes overwhelming. You don't believe you can pay it. You don't make the best financial decisions because you just don't know better, and no one taught you shit about money. That was kind of my situation. So it's not a sob story. It's just the truth of my situation. Take it or leave it. Okay. All right, so she tells me this stuff. I'm a little heartbroken. I'm a little bit choked up, but I'm also like, okay, well, I'm in the same situation I've been in for over 20 years. I'm going to die with this debt. I have to just accept it. I'm going to pay the minimums until I die. You know, they're just gonna, it's indentured servitude. You got to do what you got to do, but I have to be able to like set aside money so I can afford to live when I'm an old lady, you know, even though I'll probably still be working. Maybe I'll be driving a truck like Large Marge. I gotta show you guys the new shirt I got. Technically Large Marge was already dead. I don't know if you know the reference, but if you do, you're a real one. You're an OG. I love it. Okay. Anyway, I'm driving. I get a couple miles away, 4 miles, something like that. And then it dawns on me, where's my hat? Where's my hat that I had taken off in the store and stuck my wallet into? Yeah, because Walmart is one of the only places I actually bring my wallet because they don't fucking take Apple Pay. So I was hot in the store, and then I was racing the lady called right as I was bringing my cart back to the corral, and my hat was sitting in the cart, right? This is super, super unlike me. I have very strict routines for how I handle things like my wallet and my keys, especially my truck key. I can't close the door to my truck without looking at and touching the key multiple times. It's become kind of an OCD thing because I don't want to get locked out of my truck, you know? So this is really unusual, but that's how, like, I was distraught. I was trying to get this lady. I was waiting for 90 minutes. I was worried about losing the call, all this stuff. It's windy out and I'm using stupid AirPods and you can't hear very well. The thing that's crazy is where I pulled out. So now this is going to start going into how this affected my day in a funny way in trucking terms. I ended up pulling over just past the entrance to this truck stop. And at that truck stop, I believe I could have turned around going back the other way. I was coming off of, I want to say I-35 going south in Ohio toward Virginia or West Virginia. I went just past the entrance to the truck stop. And I was like, thinking, oh, the hat's still in the truck somewhere. I just got to pull over, pull the brakes and look. And I was going a little too fast to just turn into the truck stop, and I'm loaded real heavy right now. So I couldn't just like slam on the brakes. So I pull over and I'm thinking I could technically back a little bit because there's a really broad shoulder, which is the only reason I pulled onto the shoulder. I'm like, I could back a little bit and get into this truck stop. Let me do that and then flip around that way because it'll be much easier to go back the other way I came. But I was too paranoid. I don't like backing by entrances like that. And it's a weird thing where the highway speed is fast, but there's intersections that cross it. That's always like a recipe for danger. And I try to like think to myself, like, is it worth the risk? No, that wasn't worth the risk, I decided. So I get back on the highway and I realize I got to turn around. I call my dispatcher. I tell him right away what's going on. He was awesome. I freaking love that guy. He's like, okay, I'm going to try to call the Walmart for you while you head back. Super chill about it and just like very empathetic. It was really cool. So I go down the road a little bit and I figure out I can turn around and I see this spot. I pull off. I go to turn around. I don't recognize the correct way to get back on the highway going the right direction. I pass under the highway thinking I can make a left turn to get back on going north. No, my ass. That was weird. My video froze. My phone is even like, you need to wrap it up, tell the story, get on with it. I think I'm going the right way to go back the way I came to the Walmart. And I make this turn and I go under the highway thinking there's a left-hand entrance onto the highway. And guess what? That's not it. What I'm seeing is not an entrance onto the highway. I end up on a tiny, narrow country road, a winding country road with no markings on it, no shoulder, and there's no way I can turn around. There's no drive that you can pull into. There's no lot. There's no nothing. I am in this like country area, okay? And I'm just like, oh my God. And I don't panic though. I don't panic. I'm pretty good about staying calm. I wasn't even emotional. Like, I realized my wallet was at the Walmart, and I'm trying to call the Walmart the whole time, and it's impossible to reach a person, which was real frustrating. But I'm going through these winding roads, and I'm thinking to myself, like, how deep am I going into this? I'm looking at the map, and it just looks like mountains and winding road, and it looks like it goes to nowhere. It's one of those things, Trucker Path loves to do this, where it's like, oh, just do a U-turn over here, it's fine, and you totally cannot do a U-turn. I end up at this, I'm going down this road, I see horses, and you guys know, you who drive trucks, you pass like fields of horses or goats or cows, and a lot of times they kind of ignore you because they're used to seeing your vehicles, right? They're used to seeing trucks. I passed a couple of horses. This was really cute. They were across the street from each other in different like fenced in areas, and they both were like, the way that they looked at me was hilarious because they blatantly were like, you're not supposed to be here. What are you big giant blue thing? What's going on? It was really funny and it was really cute. One of them was actually like trotting towards the road. Like, I don't know if it was curious or if it was trotting towards the road because it was interacting with the horse, the other horse that was across the road. They're just beautiful, funny animals, cool animals. Anyway, I keep driving, finally come to this T intersection. I make a left and I'm able to back and turn back the way I came, but it was not a good place to be doing that. I did not want to do it, but I assessed the situation and decided it was the only thing that felt remotely safe in the situation that I was in. I was out in the middle of nowhere. It was the kind of thing where I was like, I don't even know if a cop is going to be able to help me that much where I'm at. I just need to figure out a way out that is like the least problematic. So I was able to turn around finally, and I got a hold of someone finally at that Walmart. They said, we'll let them know to look for the hat and whatever. So I'm driving back, and I'm still on this winding country road because I was like 4 miles of winding country road before I could get back to like civilization. You know how sometimes dogs think it's cool to like run alongside trucks? There's like a dog in a yard and it's in a fence and it's like, I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna run after you. Okay, this really cute little sandy colored dog starts running toward the road and toward my truck. And of course, you know, I was about to have a heart attack, and I didn't slam on the brakes. I never slam on the brakes, really. I mean, ideally I don't, right? But I slowed way down and I'm like, oh my God, this dog. And then I realized it's running towards me, but because it's going to attack my truck, right? Because it's a big, fierce dog. And then it starts running like in the same direction my truck is going, like, because now it's trying to chase me. And I was just like, you little bastard. Oh my God, you gave me a heart attack. Oh, and by the way, when I went back past the horses again, it was the same thing. They were like, what? I guess this time would be like, what? It was wild. I got back to the Walmart. I park in the back this time, not in the lot where the cars are. I ran, I freaking booked. I sprinted from the back up to the front of the store. I run up to the service desk and I was like, can I talk to a manager, please? And they're like, what do you need? And I was like, I think I left my hat and my wallet here. And they're like, we got it. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. I was beside myself with gratitude. Okay. So this day was an emotional roller coaster. There were some funny animal moments. There was oh my God, what have I gotten myself into trucking set of moments, period of time, and that's what I was saying to myself. That's why I don't panic when I end up in a stupid place in a truck, because it's like every single truck driver has done this before. And the way that you get out of it is not by panicking. It's by staying calm. Now, should I have continued driving in the same direction? It was a situation where it was better. I felt like it was better to keep going straight because I knew I would eventually find a place to turn around. I figured I would. And if I really got stuck, then I could call for help. But like, it was such a narrow road. I didn't want to just stop in the middle of this road or whatever. I think I made the best decision I could have made. We all end up in these situations. This video is too long, but that was my emotional roller coaster of a day. I'm going to die with the student loans I took out when I was a dumbass 18, 19, and early 20-something year old, and I can't undo the past, and I wish I could, so I wouldn't get myself into the quagmire that is student loan debt. Yeah, I wish I had just not been a dumbass, but unfortunately, this is how you learn, and sometimes you learn a lesson the hard way. That's enough. I'm exhausted. I'm going to eat my Gordon Ramsay braised beef dish that is probably very delicious with red skin potatoes, and it's not as good as home cooked, but it'll have to do. Thanks. I'll catch you later.